Everybody likes a good sequel. It's just inherently nice to see something happen after something has already happened. That is not how I want to start this video. So about a month or two ago, I made a video talking about Boeing and the kind of legal issues and overall troubles that they were recently facing at that time. This ranged from the planes falling apart because they were made out of Elmer's glue, but also because of an incident where a whistleblower that worked at Boeing suddenly died. And from that incident, a lot of people assumed that Boeing allegedly, gotta add the allegedly's in, you know. A lot of people think that Boeing allegedly killed the whistleblower and were just trying to cover themselves. That was that, and I really didn't expect to hear much from it. Again, I didn't think that any action was going to be taken just because, you know, Boeing and also, you know, evidence. But I moved on with my life and really didn't think much of it. Up until this week, because holy crap, Boeing cannot keep their hands clean and out of, you know, the public news. And there's really two main developments that have recently come out. The first of which happened last week, in which one of Boeing's planes had its emergency slide fall out of the plane mid-flight, and they had to make an emergency landing. You know, it's kind of par for the course when it comes to Boeing and their kind of planes that they make, and it's not exactly the worst thing that happened. After all, one of the planes did have its door taken off in the middle of the flight, so it could have been worse, thankfully. But where it gets really interesting when it comes to the slide is because they had a hard time finding that emergency slide. The emergency slide, that is that giant inflatable thing that people go down in case, you know, the plane were to crash, which, considering Boeing planes, is kind of high up there. But they had a hard time finding that slide. Up until they found it, and it was found, get this, it's a real kicker, this one. It was found washed up next to the house of a lawyer, and that lawyer and the law firm that he was working with was a law firm that was currently suing Boeing for the already mentioned door incident where the door came off. So it was a really bad timing for Boeing, and unfortunately just not a great situation to be in. But you know, justice? That's already interesting enough. Boeing planes falling apart, interesting, but not exactly out of the ordinary. What is out of the ordinary is the second point, and it really is kind of crazy that this happened. I don't know how it happened, but there was a second whistleblower who whistleblowed on Boeing, and this man by the name of Joshua Dean was found dead, with the cause of death being allegedly infection, which is what it's currently being put as. But this has once again got people kind of opening their eyes and kind of looking really close at the details, because the interesting thing is that this man, he essentially worked at a Boeing supplier in Wichita, Kansas, and while he was working there, he brought up concerns about the kind of things that they were doing, the kind of practices and safety-wise, you know, type of things that they were doing. And so that already has some people, you know, kind of scratching their heads thinking, maybe this is deja vu. I have been in this place before, running down the streets, whatever the lyrics are. And what makes it more interesting is that not only was this guy young, he was 45, so... And you know, sudden deaths happen all the time. It's very, very tragic, but this one especially was just a little suspicious. But what makes it even more suspicious is that this plant, the Wichita, Kansas plant, was the same exact plant where they made and manufactured the door that blew off the airplane. So you've got now two stories within the same week revolving around a very similar issue, and that's just Boeing planes falling apart. See, this is where I get really, really confused and concerned. First of all, let's say that allegedly Boeing killed both of these people, allegedly. I mean, for a company to do that, it is an extremely bold move to take, especially after your first whistleblower, you know, death incident gathered so much news and media attention and had most of the world already thinking that, yep, this guy did it. Get him. Get him! So to do that and then allegedly doing it again, it's just an extremely crazy situation to be in, because it's almost the exact same situation. You had an employee, had concerned about safety, and then they were very quickly later found dead. And again, it's all alleged. But what isn't alleged is the manufacturing issues that Boeing has with their planes, especially recently. I really don't know why it's so hard to make high quality planes. I feel like that should be something that should be, higher echelon, especially considering Boeing makes like 90% of the planes, and along with that makes military planes, so you have to make high quality stuff for the military, otherwise that government money goes bye-bye, ta-ta. And I mentioned it last month or two, where the Boeing engineers that were working on a certain plane were literally makeshifting everything, from using like glue and toothpaste to put things together. They were literally using items from like Pinewood Derby stuff. The big difference being though, instead of rolling a wooden car down a ramp, it is a plane that flies thousands of feet in the sky. So you'd think that they'd put a lot more effort into making sure that the plane doesn't fall apart and that items don't get moved while they're flying. So it's I'm at a loss for words. I mean, this is stuff from like a movie, Evil Company, but it's just real life. And what baffles me even more is that there isn't really a lot of legal action being taken. There is with the door incident, which was a very major incident, so I'm very glad that they are taking legal action with that. But the door issue, while it is a major issue, it is not the only thing that happened with Boeing and planes falling apart. And I don't know if the lawsuit or whatever they're doing is all inclusive and has multiple things within it, but it's hard to believe that after everything that was done that nothing legal wise has actually been accomplished. And bringing it back just around one more time to the if these whistleblowers were allegedly killed by Boeing, allegedly, it just surprises me that no legal action was taken with that. And I understand that evidence-wise, it's not great. The first guy was, I believe, shot in his car, and they didn't really find the main person who did it, or people who did it. And then you have this guy that tragically died of an infection at the age of 45. Not unheard of, but just not as common as you would think. I think that just inherently, that would warrant at least some kind of investigation, but, I could be wrong. I am not a lawyer. I wouldn't want to be. Boeing! So while I thought that last month and all the things that happened there was gonna be the end of it, that Boeing would probably, shape up, make it seem like they're not a terrible company that makes stuff out of Elmer's glue and Legos. I expected them to kind of, step up their game. What I didn't expect was to get a sequel to the already very, very well-known story of, planes being pulled apart. I didn't expect to see another plane incident, and I definitely did not expect to see another whistleblower end up dead. So it's just it's just a very bizarre situation to be in, and I don't know anymore if this is going to be the last one. I thought the last incident with Boeing was going to be the last one, and then this happened. So I can no longer say with confidence that this is the last time that Boeing is going to get in legal trouble over planes falling apart in the middle of the sky, and I don't even think I can say that this is going to be the last person that ends up either missing or killed. Because if it was allegedly Boeing, then, that's tough. I just don't see anything being done legally wise. And who knows, maybe they didn't do it. That's always an option. And while Joshua Dean, the most recent man who unfortunately passed away, died of an infection, the other guy was shot. That one just inherently warrants more investigation. Right now, I think the safest thing that Boeing can do is maybe reevaluate what kind of company they want to be. I think they should just leave planes to the side. They've made their buck, they've got the engineers. I think they should shift their energy over to something smaller and not lethal. Like Legos. I think they'd be a very, very good Lego company. Some pieces will be missing, sure, but at least people won't die. Hopefully. But that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, if indeed you still are. My name is Brockster, and I bid you all adieu.